So is this from the Zerg or the Protoss?
Zerg point of view, and the question is, after defending the early cannon rushes, how do you basically close up the game?
All right. Yeah, let's take a look at this one, shall we? So a bit of cannon shenanigans. How do we close out the game? I think we just close out the game however we normally would close out the game, because that's what we're naturally going to be best at. But what we do already see here is not a lot of drones being pulled. Thankfully for us, there's only one probe here. But oh my, this is dangerous. Oh no, why are we canceling our hatch? Oh no. A lot of panic. A lot of panic. Oh, we could have been so far ahead. Bit of a panic cancel on the hatchery there. Yeah, so we didn't pull enough drones down to be comfortable with this defense, which is why things got a little bit dicey. But,
Let's keep clicking two drones to
yeah.
to go for the pro all the time would have been very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's building a pylon and letting it finish, you should have at least 10 drones down there. Or at least 7 drones, sorry. Once you see a cannon go down, you should have like 15 drones down there, like almost all of them. And just kind of have a few chasing the probe the whole time, a few on a pylon, a few on a cannon, a few on a cannon. If you split your attacks up, it's really good. I'm going to have a really lovely coaching video with a Diamond 1 player we did yesterday, focusing on all the details of defending the cannon rush. That's going to be going up on YouTube in a week, maybe a few days, maybe less than a week, maybe only a few days. So keep your eye on my YouTube channel, guys. It will be going up there. And we go through that in excruciating detail. There's also, of course, that lovely cannons command, which demand linked when me and Printf talk about kind of cannon rushes and how to defend it and all that sort of stuff. So the first thing we notice here is that we haven't really defended the cannon rush. We cancelled our hatchery. We've gone double gas into roaches. So we're trying to counterattack with an all-in, because we are way down on economy and, you know, we've taken a lot of damage from this. And now we're trying to break a wall with slow Zerglings before our roaches have arrived. For some reason, we left our roaches at home. So these Zerglings are just getting annihilated here. So this is just one of these very impulsive counterattacks where it doesn't feel very well planned and it's kind of like, oh, let's just go. But there hasn't really been much production behind this. We're not rallying roaches. We're not building that many drones. We did build some drones behind this. So it's a very unconfident plan, right? So I think always the safest response when you deal with any rush. I don't know why the game sound feels like it's so loud. It's weird. Maybe I turned up my Windows sound. No, it's the same as it normally is. That's weird. But yeah, it's always to go back to your normal game plan. And I can guarantee this is not the normal game plan. Kind of building some drones in a third, but then rallying units, but then we're forgetting to inject because we're focusing on the attack, but we're not focusing fully on the attack. The Protoss is just ahead of us in every regard. They're building high attack units, Immortals. They've got more economy, 13 more workers. So we're pretty dead in this game at this point. And that comes down to just panicking a little bit and kind of really getting thrown off by that cannon rush. So I kind of feel like what happened in this game goes back early, and it's always the things that happen early on in the replays that get you screwed. I feel like there was like a moment here where things were going kind of okay despite not spending the money, and then even though we defend the rush, we start going for a counter roach rush. So I guess what's happened is this, look, the cannon rush failed, my opponent should have late tech, let's go kill them with roaches because they shouldn't be able to handle it. This can sometimes work, but if we look at this one, our opponent hasn't really committed to that many pylons and cannons, and the thing is, it's very common for someone to try to ravage a counterattack. So they're often going to have cannons and batteries, which, while Corrosive Bile can take them down, this is a big map. It's going to take a while to get there. They're often going to build a Stargate. You can have no answer to a Void Ray. And it's just one of those things where if we defend a cannon rush well, and we drone up well, we spend our money, get back to a normal game, the safest, most sure lead is an economic lead. We can get way ahead if we just build our economy up. But in this game, we kind of did a little bit of both, which is what irks me. If we had like built a lot of roaches straight away, we had a lot of lava waiting, spent all our money on roaches when that roach warren finished, went across with like 6, 7 ravages immediately, and then tried to bust, I could get behind it because that's a confident game plan. But instead, we built a ton of Zerglings first. which are not the unit that's ever going to break a wall. That's just not going to happen unless our opponent screws up and doesn't wall off. And then we leave our roaches at home for a long time before bringing them across. And it's only 3 roaches, and we don't build any more, and then we end up going for a third and more drones. So we're caught between 2 different choices. And no matter what is the correct or the highest percentage choice in a scenario, what's more important for you as a player who isn't a pro gamer is to just choose a choice and be very, very focused on committing everything to that choice. So if you're going to go for a big attack like this, you need to really commit to it. Why? Because it's a Protoss wall-off. You don't create pressure just by showing units at a wall-off. They're like, it's a wall-off, it's got a cannon, I don't care. You're just not stressing them out at all. But if you're actually macroing hard, that puts pressure on them. If you're committing everything to breaking the wall and going for broke and depowering these structures. Imagine if this robo got depowered, those pylons went down. There's no production in the main. This could have been a game-winning rush. But I'm not even going to say like rush is the right move, rush is the wrong move. It's more just choose a move and commit everything to it. And then get really good at it by trying it a few games in a row. And you'd be amazed by how much you can absolutely crush it. So this was a very, I feel, impulsive move. It's what I call a half-baked rush, a half-baked plan. I do this sometimes. You guys will hear me get really angry at myself on my stream when I lose games to this. So early on, yeah, we can get better at defending the cannons, whatever. We could have spent our money a little bit better while it was going on. But here's the point where we, in our mind, say, oh, stop the cannon rush, stop the cannon rush, stop the cannon rush. Oh. And then bam, springs into our head a very half-baked plan where we say, oh, maybe I can make a roach rush work. But think about it. We could have already had that roach warren started a minute ago. When did that spawning pool finish? Let's go back. The spawning pool's been done for ages. If we feel this is a good way to play against someone who cannon rushes us, this should be something we have in our head the moment someone starts cannon rushing. So even in the midst of microing our drones, we should already know, drop a roach warren. And that could be down at 2 minutes 20. Put 3 guys on gas, drop a second gas while still defending this. If we did that, by 3:30, we could have our first roaches popping out rather than our roach warren starting. That means by 5 minutes 20, maybe even earlier, we could be hitting with 4 or 5 ravages and more roaches and ravages rallying. If we had 4 or 5 ravages here, our opponent would be dead. So simply by having a clear, I want to roach rush against cannon rushes as the game plan from before the game starts, we can do this 1,000 times better. Or we can go full macro, but never half-ass it. You know what Ben Stiller said? Never go... Actually, we want to do what Ben Stiller said, right? It's like, always go full macro, or always go full rush. Never half-ass it. Never half-ass it. Go full Tropic Thunder. Go full Tropic Thunder, guys. Yeah, that's about it. Cool. So we'll watch how this plays out for a sec. Do you guys have anything to add there?
In chat, they're talking about the commitment of like sending 7 or 8 drones for like a possible bluff.
Oh, the cannon rush defense. Awesome. Oh, this is a good point. Yeah, that's good. I see people talking about it now. Okay, so a lot of people say this, but what if your opponent bluffs it? Okay, so check this out. First things first. Your opponent's already behind by sending a probe across really early. This is a very early probe. This is like really early. Okay. Already he's behind a little bit because he's done that, okay? Now let's say this is a bluff. Let's say behind this is a gateway. Well, there is a gas, which makes no sense if you're cannon rushing, but I dig it. I dig it, Banana. And they're just going to go to a Nexus eventually. First things first. This pylon delays your Nexus, delays your Cybercore, delays your tech. Opportunity cost. Second pylon, whoa, delays it a ton. So, if you want to be super pro, what do I do when I see one pylon? I actually only pull 4 drones, guys. Maybe 5 in total at most, right? That's because I can rely on my micro to stop cannons going up in good spots. But it's better to play a little bit overly safe, shut down your opponent's pressure, because you're not playing people who are as flexible, right? If you're not playing GMs, right? So it's better to pull 7 drones in total. Now, if that pylon gets to 99% and then they cancel it, it was a fake, you send your drones back to mining, aren't you way behind? Fuck no. They lost 100 minerals of opportunity cost. They don't get that back by getting the 75 minerals back. They've already delayed their Nexus and their Cybercore by a good amount and fucked up their build. Now, have you lost more minerals because you pulled 7 drones for that one? Yeah, you have. Not by much, though. Your opponent has gained a very minute lead, a tiny lead, and you have cut out any chance of losing the game. This is much better than playing safe, because let's also go and do a percentage analysis. How many times do people fake cannon rushes outside of top tier play? Even at top tier play, let's include everyone. Bronze through GM. How often are people faking cannon rushes? I would say less than 5%. At most, let's say 5%. That's 1 in 20. 1 in 20 games, it's a fake cannon rush. Let's say 1 in 10. Let's be real generous. I don't think it's that many. Maybe some of you guys play at a weird... You've got like 2 or 3 weirdos at your MMR who fake cannon rush every game. Maybe there'll be a meta phase where a popular pro does it. Everyone does it for a week or two. Even then, they're gaining a very small lead for themselves. But every single game where they're actually cannon rushing, you're getting infinitely ahead. So if you take a 1 in 10, or even let's just be super generous. Say 1 in 5 games they're fake cannon rushing. That 1 in 5 games, you get slightly behind. 4 out of 5 games, you get way ahead. Overall, that's a winning percentage, right? And that's the calculation you should always be looking at as a player. Is it's okay to play a little bit overly safe, because you've got to accommodate for the fact that you're not going to be able to respond. And there are tiers to your response, and that's what a lot of people don't get. If that pylon finishes and doesn't get cancelled, or a second pylon goes down, or you see a second probe, those are all signs your opponent's committing an insane amount. There's a second probe? Motherfucker ain't going to send 2 probes across the map if he's macroing behind it. Fuck no. Don't do that shit. Don't do that shit. So you can immediately pull most of your mineral line, right? So you start with a certain commitment of drones. I always send 1 drone to follow the probe. Then I pull 5 or 6 more. And then I pull about 10 more if they're actually letting the pylons finish and they're trying to get cannons. Like the moment a cannon goes down, you're like, pull fucking everything, just shut it down. And you can keep building drones behind this, just using your control groups. That's why control groups are great. You can be microing your drones, you can be building more. So don't be afraid to get slightly behind, guys, and it'll work out very nicely. Isn't it better to let them build the cannons, cancel, and build the hatch somewhere else while Ravager busting out, says Abaddon? If that works 100% at your skill level, yes, that is the best way to play against it. If that gets you ahead every game, go for it. But if your opponents are good enough that they are getting up a gateway there, building a stalker, building more cannons and shield batteries, and you can't bust out, then you're in Dicktown. I think it's 1,000 times easier to just play your normal game. Rather than doing this awkward Ravager bust, why not just learn to defend with workers? Why not say, oh, you want to do a weird cannon rush game, which you've probably got way more experience with than me? Fuck that. Just shut it down with workers. It's a really good micro exercise as well. So I really enjoy it. Obviously, there's many ways to skin a cat. If you're a sick fuck who likes to skin cats. But I don't think you need to be a sick fuck to want to stop cannon rushes. So there's a few different ways to go about it for sure.
Yeah, that's my big thing. It's like, if you can obviously like try and defend their like proxy row and stuff, it's very possible, but they've played so many more games of that than you have. Like, they've played so many more games playing that, rushing with it, than you have defending it, if that's like all they do. That it's better to just, even if you're macroing from a little bit behind, because they like got some stuff up, like,
yeah,
it's better to macro from behind against a player that's not used to macroing than do a cheese game against a player who's very used to cheesing.
Yeah, you can afford to overcommit to it. Like, even in GM, I often kind of make fun of a lot of the players on the NA ladder for being very inflexible in that if they see aggression, they commit like 1,000% to defending it. And I'm like, oh, cool, I'll just like macro now. And somehow I'm infinitely ahead. And I'm like, this is the worst macro build I've ever done. But because they're playing so overly safe, even at GM, like they've taken that to the extreme where I'm like, well, this is kind of bad if people play as flexibly as I am. Like, so when I'm really in my Star-Lord rhythm, there's a lot of games where I'm not all inning. I'm showing shit, forcing ridiculous reactions from my opponent because they like to do that. And then I'm transitioning out of it. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. How do you feel about a fast layer and a ling drop? it's not a big committed rush, but it's pretty sure to deal damage, isn't it? Says Sir Long Dong Schlong. It takes an inevitable, it takes a huge amount of time to eventualize, and if they have a Phoenix, a Void Ray, or a Stalker, they're going to just shut it down. You won't even get in there. You'll lose everything. And they can defend 8 Zerglings with probes pretty easily if they have micro as well. So Long Dong Schlong. So this is something where if you happen to already have a lair for a different reason, and you think you can add an 8 Zergling rush in while going like Mutas or something, then I can get behind it, but otherwise I would not be behind it at all. Nidus is, you think Nidus is, no, Nidus is much more powerful kind of move there. Sir Long Dong Schlong, obviously much more committed though. Yeah, much more committed. So it's one of those things. How different scenario when they go for a cannon contain instead of a cannon rush, says Jacob. I still just try to pull drones and break it straight away, and usually I'll get it up. If you scout properly, you can. But yeah, otherwise just trying to break out with Ravages will often work. Most people aren't very good at those builds. So as frustrating as it is to play against, I think most people just panic a little bit too much, and don't really refine what they're doing. So yeah. So you guys talking about Vibe? What? If the cannons go up? Vibe always recommends the Ravager bust out or getting another base somewhere else. Yeah, if they get the cannons up surrounded and you can't deal with it, then Ravages is a nice way to do it. Yeah. But you should never let the cannons get up. It's much easier if you never let the cannons get up. Just a lot of people are very disorganized with their drone micro. Keep an eye out for that YouTube video, guys. It is incredible how much power you get out of control grouping drones and using them as if they're your army units, which a lot of people are just really awkward at. But practice makes perfect.